How long should a resume be? 1 page or 2? You may have read or heard that it should be no longer than 1 page. The true answer to this question depends on multiple factors. Let's take a look at some of those deciding factors. First of all, how much experience do you have? When people write their resumes, something rather ironic and interesting happens. People with lots of experience tend to try to jam everything onto 1 page. They make the font too small to read easily, they shrink their white space, and they end up with hardly any margin at all. People with hardly any experience try to get a teeny bit of information to expand onto 2 pages. They make the font and their margins larger and include irrelevant information to try to make it look as if they have more experience. If you have more than 10 years of experience, you will probably need more than 1 page, especially if you need to list such things as professional experience, technical skills, certifications, publications, patents, or speaking engagements. Rule of thumb: if this information is important to the position you are currently seeking, don't crunch everything onto 1 page simply because of the outdated concept of the one-page-fits-all resume. If you're just out of school or college, try to make the resume no more than 1 page. If you have less than 5 years of work experience, a 1 page resume should suffice in most cases. You may have heard from seemingly credible sources that you should only include your last 10 years of experience. Unfortunately, this well-intentioned advice could actually keep you from getting an interview. Consider the example that a hiring manager recently shared with me. An applicant was referred by a personal reference. During the interview, the hiring manager looked at the resume and didn't see any of the experience she expected. She inquired, "Is this all of the experience you have? I was told you had experience as a paralegal." The applicant replied, "Well, yes, I was an IP litigation paralegal for 12 years, but my recruiter told me I should include only the last 10 years of my experience on my resume, so I left it off." The hiring manager told me the recruiter's advice almost cost the paralegal the job. If she had not known someone and gotten through the back door to the interview, she would have most certainly been passed over. Anyone simply reading the resume would never have called her in the first place, and she got the job because of the experience she had prior to the 10-year cutoff. Don't leave off relevant information because of a 1-page limit or a 10-year cutoff. Keep your resume concise but targeted with pertinent information. On the other hand, if you delivered pizza, worked in a nail salon, or other such jobs that may be unrelated 10 years before, you may leave these irrelevant positions off of your resume. Just be careful about leaving gaps in your employment dates. If you find that taking this information off will leave gaps, consider instead changing the job description to include your transferable skills. If you have many years of experience, you may consider setting up an early career section where you briefly summarize or even combine employers, maybe even job titles and employment dates. Other expendable items include obsolete technology and your high school information after attending college. Be careful of setting off flares. Employment dates that go back too far will attract about as much attention. Consider including as much of your more recent experience as possible and only what is pertinent to the job. Use your best judgment, depending on the field you are in, to figure out what your cutoff date would be and when you would start dating yourself. For example, I started working at 14 years old while attending high school, and I worked my way through college. As I gained more experience, those jobs dropped off my resume, but they were very valuable when I was just getting my start. Do you hold a senior or executive level position? In addition to your resume, you may need to include a portfolio of documents, including an executive biography or leadership process profile, to clearly illustrate your track record of accomplishments and leadership abilities. Ask yourself these questions. Are you including information that is totally irrelevant to the position you are targeting? Will the information provided assist you in getting the interview? Are you trying to crunch your resume into 1 page by eliminating pertinent information, making the margins too small, decreasing the font size, and eliminating your white space? In other words, are you making it hard to read simply because you've heard it should only be 1 page? Is it as concise as possible? Stay to the point and keep focused on your target position. And the survey says, Robert Half Technology, a respected recruiting firm, shared some information with me about a recent poll they conducted. They interviewed senior executives for a survey regarding their preferences and resume length. They found that the best rule of thumb is to allow the breadth and depth of your experience to dictate resume length. They suggest before putting anything on your resume, ask, does it add value to my candidacy? If it doesn't, eliminate the information or recast it in more meaningful terms. So, how long should your resume be? Your resume should be exactly the length it takes to market and sell yourself for each targeted job. Try to keep it between 1 and 2 pages. Be concise. Keep focused on your qualifications, accomplishments, and achievements, but don't sell yourself short. And remember, although a one-page resume is no longer a hard and fast rule, you certainly should never create a 10-page resume. You may want to rethink your strategy or perhaps create a portfolio in addition to your resume if it's running onto multiple pages. The most important thing to remember is to include as much relevant information as needed to advertise and market yourself to your target. Just be sure to make yourself shine and cast yourself in the best possible light.